Until very recently, our mainstream media was militantly uncurious about the origins of COVID-19, quick to dismiss any storyline that distracted from their storyline that Donald Trump was an anti-science COVID denier because he pushed back against health experts who, in retrospect, were actually wrong on multiple fronts. The media was happy to assist the Chinese Communist Party in its denial that COVID-19 even came from China at all, let alone leaked from a lab. Were you aware that for the past several months, just mentioning the lab leak theory got you censored on Facebook? It really did. What an embarrassment. But Facebook is reversing course to avoid the appearance of being completely in bed with the CCP. The thought police over at Facebook have said it's okay to consider this possibility when trying to determine the cause of a pandemic that crippled the entire world. We should be so grateful to the thought police for allowing this. Thank you, thought police. Wouldn't you love to know why Facebook censored this story to begin with? A story that was very credible and has been this entire time. Who are the free speech hating Facebook hipsters who were offended by the very evidence-based theory that COVID-19 was likely made in a lab? Who at Facebook is dumb enough to blindly trust the Chinese government, which initially said the virus came from America and then changed the story to claim the virus came from an animal market, which just happens to be right down the street from a lab where Chinese scientists create viruses? It wasn't just the media and social media, though, that let us down. The entire Democrat Party as a whole hated this topic and has for the last 15 months. The Biden administration finally agreeing to look into the problem in the worst possible fashion by letting an institution that the Chinese government has in its pocket lead the investigation.
The WHO would be the body that would be overseeing a transparent, independent phase 2 investigation. That's something we have strongly supported. That would require China finally stepping up and allowing access needed to determine the origins. Of course, the United States would be supportive of that second stage of the investigation, but it would be led by an international body.
It's so feckless and so naive. Do you find yourself thinking that every time you hear a Democrat talk? Like, you're never going to get to the bottom of this. If you guys were police investigators, there'd be crime everywhere and none of it would get solved. The same World Health Organization who put out a report with China back in March that said assessment of likelihood in view of the above, a laboratory origin of the pandemic was considered to be extremely unlikely. They knew nothing, but they were happy to say that it didn't come from a Chinese lab because there's something between the WHO and China. We all know that. Last night, CNN finally did some real journalism, uncovering this very curious nugget from the White House. President Joe Biden's team shut down a closely held State Department effort launched late in the Trump administration to prove the coronavirus originated in a Chinese lab over concerns about the quality of its work, according to 3 sources familiar with the decision. Yeah, they're worried about the quality of the work. Why on earth would you ever stop this investigation? How could you possibly do such a thing? Take a minute and imagine this. Donald Trump is still president, and the virus came from Russia. And Trump shuts down an investigation into the origin of the virus. Can you imagine? Same thing here. There's plenty of dirty dealings between the Biden family and China. We know all about it. Ask Tony Bobolinsky. It's all verifiable. It's not fake news. But sadly, the media still couldn't care less about it. They won't report it. They won't look into it. So this won't be front page news. This is ugly. That report, though, putting the Biden administration in a tough spot. Here is the deputy press secretary today.
This is why the president is asking the U.S. intelligence community, in cooperation with other elements of our government, to redouble efforts to collect and analyze information that could bring the world closer to a definitive conclusion on the origin of the virus and deliver a report to him again in 90 days. It will be another whole of government effort, as I mentioned, including work by our national labs and other agencies.
Okay, so they want their own investigation. So the people who didn't care about the origin a week ago now care so much that they're demanding an even better investigation than the one started by the people who've been trying to figure this out since last spring. Does that make sense to you? Nope. Biden isn't the only one feeling the heat today on COVID. Flip-flop Fauci's collision course with the truth gets worse and worse. Take a listen to this from yesterday.
We had a modest collaboration with very respectable Chinese scientists who are world experts on coronavirus. The subgrant was about $600,000 over a period of 5 years.
Fauci sent your money to Wuhan, China, where they were studying coronaviruses in bats. Why we care about China studying viruses and why we fund it, don't ask me. But now Fauci says the money was not intended to go to gain-of-function research, which is basically when a virus is modified in order to make it more transmissible to humans in order to study it. Like they have any clue where that money is going to be spent. It's kind of like sending money to the Palestinians and saying it won't be used on rockets, right? Makes no sense. He was questioned about that, Fauci was, by Senator John Kennedy.
You gave them money and you said, don't do gain-of-function research.
Correct.
And they said, we won't.
Correct.
And you have no way of knowing whether they did or not, except you trust them. Is that right?
Well, we generally always trust the grantee to do what they say.
He generally finds scientists representing the Chinese Communist Party to be trustworthy. Where do we find these people? For all we know, the Chinese could be working on the virus that they're going to use to take over the world. Is it that unrealistic? Build a perfect virus. Keep it contained this time. Get a vaccine for it. Vaccinate all of your people, and then let the rest of the world suffer. It's brilliant. And wouldn't it be so poetic that in this hypothetical situation, America would be helping to fund it? Wouldn't that just make perfect sense? The same country that helps Iran fund terrorism, that sends money to the Palestinians thinking Hamas won't get it and use it on bombs. So hilariously naive are these people, is this country, as sad as it is to say. Xi Jinping, I'm sure, is very relieved that Democrats are now leading the charge on this investigation into COVID. They're going to be so easy to foil. Meanwhile, Fauci's still trying to defend himself after he spent months trying to destroy the lab leak theory. Here he is with Senator Rubio taking him to task.
We still don't know the host for COVID, even though, and China's not being transparent about it, even though they have a vested interest in producing the host, so they can put all those down. In a lab that we know is involved in changing viruses synthetically so that they become infectious for humans. In a lab that diplomats have told us is unsafe, and a country that had a history of lab leaks.
Common sense. And while a feckless Democrat-run Washington begins the fool's errand of trying to determine where COVID came from, the Washington Free Beacon reports a news agency controlled by the Chinese Communist Party paid millions of dollars to American newspapers and magazines over the past 6 months. You see how this all works. The LA Times, Time Magazine, the Chicago Tribune, among others, have all taken money from the Chinese Communist Party. Freedom of the press is one of the things the Chinese hate the most about this country. They laugh at this country for allowing that, at letting our government allow that. They're happy to work to destroy it. It is remarkable to see how much influence China, an evil nation, has over ours. We see it in every corner.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, where real news for real people.